Good evening, ladies and gentlemen, and congratulations to every single viewer and every single citizen of India, because tonight India has scored a sensational diplomatic and political victory, with United Nations declaring Masood Azhar a global terrorist. And this is a reply that comes from a Mazboot Sarkar to both Pakistan and China. And the statement to the world is that this is new India. It's not going to back down. It's going to get what it wants in its fight against terror. That, ladies and gentlemen, is the statement that's come out of the United Nations today. And that, ladies and gentlemen, is time for you, me, and every single Indian to rejoice and celebrate that India has taken part in diplomatic maneuver and has joined the top countries of the world on the high table of diplomacy. But before I go across to the big debate on that, let's take a look at the top headlines making news this Wednesday evening.
इतना देखा है कि यूनाइटेड नेशन में क्या हुआ। ये है इस नए भारत की ललकार।
Huge diplomatic win for India. Pakistan agrees, China backs off. United Nations declares Jaish-e-Mohammed chief Masood Azhar as a global terrorist.
It's been a happy day, a good day for all those who would like to pursue the approach of zero tolerance for terrorism.
India's diplomats work overtime to file a global pressure on Beijing. China forced to fall in line by Modi Sarkar. A predictable Congress party jumped to take credit for beginning the process of listing Azhar as a global terrorist, but have they forgotten Rahul Gandhi's tweet accusing the NDA of towing China line?
हमने ये बहुत ध्यान दिया है कि हमारा जो प्रत्याशी है वो बीजेपी के ही वोट काटे।
Total surrender, or so it seems, by the Congress party. Priyanka Gandhi Vadra reveals Rahul's 2019 plans, admits Congress only fighting to cut BJP votes. Red terror bleeds India again. 15 Jawans killed in IED blast in Gadchiroli. Congress leads the attack on the Modi government.
You're watching the News Hour at 9.
Ladies and gentlemen, tonight you can't grudge the Prime Minister of India for really standing up for India and what India wants on the world stage. Prime Minister Narendra Modi speaking in Jaipur just hours after United Nations declared Masood Azhar as a global terrorist. Let's listen in to the Prime Minister.
मसूद अजहर को संयुक्त राष्ट्र द्वारा आतंकवादी घोषित करने पर आखिरकार विश्व में सहमति बनी, यह संतोष का विषय है। देर आए दुरुस्त आए। आतंकवाद के खिलाफ संघर्ष में और आतंकवाद को जड़ से उखाड़ने के लिए लंबे समय से भारत जो प्रयास कर रहा था, ये उसकी बहुत बड़ी सफलता है। और आज देश ने देखा है कि यूनाइटेड नेशन में क्या हुआ, कैसे 130 करोड़ जनता की आवाज पूरे विश्व में दहाड़ रही है। ये है नया भारत और ये है इस नए भारत की ललकार। आज भारत की बात पूरी दुनिया में सुनी जाती है। भारत की बात को नजरअंदाज नहीं किया जा सकता है।
Ladies and gentlemen, this is Naya Bharat. That's what the Prime Minister has said. And tonight on the case, I will explain the significance of this big diplomatic and political coup achieved by Modi Sarkar. Ladies and gentlemen, it's not just symbolic. It's a huge step towards crushing terror emanating from Pakistan. China, which played the dirty diplomatic game by supporting Pakistan, was finally forced to give in. And given how? With how much pressure from the United States, Russia, as well as the United Kingdom, all of whom stood together with India. And in this show of strength of India's clout in global pecking order vis-a-vis China is the victory for Naya Bharat. Jaish-e-Mohammed chief, who for a long time ducked behind Pakistan's cover, now stands completely exposed, ladies and gentlemen. Listing him as a terrorist means he will be cornered even in Pakistan. The listing also means that China, which has been an all-weather friend of Pakistan, for the first time has dumped Islamabad under pressure from India. And what's further noteworthy is Modi's heavy investment in foreign policy, especially in relationships with the United States, with France and with the United Kingdom, which was a pivotal point in India scoring this stunning victory in the United Nations. As a consequence, now Islamabad will have no option but to arrest and jail Masood Azhar, who's right now being shielded by Pakistan's ISI. And on ground, Azhar will be completely cornered as his assets will be frozen. He won't be able to procure arms and he will be banned from traveling, making him a virtual sitting duck. And that brings me to my legitimate question on the news hour tonight. And the question is very simple, ladies and gentlemen. Is Mazboot Sarkar equal to Mazboot Bharat? Is India now in need of a very, very Mazboot Sarkar? That's the question and the big debate. Hashtag Modi corners Masood Azhar. That's the debate that's coming up on the other side.
You're watching the News Hour at 9. Debate number 1. On Times Now. Super Prime Time.
And joining me tonight, Gaurav Bhatia, national spokesperson of the BJP, Smita Prakash, editor of ANI, Maruf Raza, a consulting editor and strategic affairs expert. Maruf Raza knows the extent and the real depth of this victory that India has gotten today. Suneet Chopra, senior leader of the CPIM. Also with me tonight, Dr. John Dayal, human rights activist, Tehseen Poonawala, political analyst, and Majid Hydari, political analyst. And tonight, on the segment Standpoint, I want to take on Majid Hydari with Mr. Gaurav Bhatia. And Majid Hydari, I have no big questions on you tonight. I have just one question for you tonight. Tonight, when the entire Indian subcontinent is celebrating this big victory, Mr. Majid Hydari, would you like to congratulate Prime Minister Narendra Modi and India's entire class that got us this victory on the diplomatic front? Today, will you congratulate them?
Madam, before thinking of congratulating Modi ji on this achievement, I would firstly extend my heartfelt condolences with the 15 families of martyrs who were killed in Maharashtra. I mean, it's a chokidari everywhere, but sense of security nowhere across the country. Now, before dragging this issue of BJP's electoral campaign to the United Nations Security Council or bringing United Nations Security Council to BJP's electoral campaign, I would congratulate United States of America, I would congratulate China, I would congratulate France, I would even congratulate Pakistan for this achievement, which was actually initiated by Congress, because it was Congress which had arrested Azhar Masood, but it was BJP which had released him with all honor and taken him up to Kandahar on that Kandahar Divas Day. Now about this, is it really a moment for the people of India to celebrate? Well, I'm afraid it's not that kind of a moment. Because being listed as a terrorist in the United Nations Security Council does not mean that Azhar Masood will be brought to the court of justice in the Indian court of law. He'll continue to live in Pakistan, as we have seen in case of Dawood Ibrahim, that he too was listed among the UNSC terrorists, but then he continues to live somewhere in Pakistan. So there is no sense of glamour or sense of celebration for the people of India. Ideally, it would have been best that Balakot strike would have been about getting him to India, but that unfortunately couldn't happen except for some trees and crows. Nothing big achievement was made there. Now, with regard to this Azhar Masood getting this, I think it's a status symbol for him that now he'll be among the globally listed terrorists about which India can do nothing, because in the past also government of India has not been able to take any actions. If it was about Mazboot Sarkar, Modi ji's
Majid
forces
Hydari,
should
your
have
time
gone
is up
there
and I'm
brought him
shocked.
to
And
the
India,
way Americans
this
had
is the
handled
man
Osama bin
and
Laden.
people like him who stand exposed today. Even today, they will congratulate Pakistan and not congratulate India or the Prime Minister of India. Gaurav Bhatia, your counter.
Navika, first of all, deepest condolences to the families of the brave martyrs, and our heart goes out to them. The entire nation is standing with them. But I am shocked and aghast and very pained on hearing what I have just heard from our fellow panelist when he is congratulating Pakistan, which has been a safe haven of terrorism, and all terrorists actually are protected by the Pakistani government. But I think it is a historic day for India, because India has shown how its stature in the global world has become even more, how decisive leadership can change the course of our future, and how decisive leadership of Narendra Modi ji has ensured that even when China, which supports Pakistan, was opposing this initially, and we are not part of the Security Council, we have been successful in our fight against terrorism. That, I think, is very heartening, and the entire country is happy when we heard about this news. I would also say that we should thank France, which decided to move this proposal. We should also thank UK and US that have supported India. And it is not without reason, Navika. It is because they realize that India is a country which you cannot ignore. It is India that is rising in the global map, and therefore all these countries have come together. But where is the political parties that had criticized Narendra Modi ji when we heard the news of blockage by China earlier? Rahul Gandhi had tweeted saying
your
that
time is
Narendra
up,
Modi
Gaurav
ji
Bhatia, and I'm
is
opening up the
swimming with
debate,
deep in
and I want to get in.
Deep
I want to get in
state
Tehseen
of
Poonawalla,
sleeping
who's
deep.
getting very restless. And Tehseen Poonawalla, tonight, would you like to congratulate Prime Minister Modi? Because you know what were the adverse circumstances under which India has been able to get this ban on Masood Azhar. You know the objections that were coming in from Pakistan and the backing that was coming in from China. Yet, India has been able to not only convince the United States, Russia, the United Kingdom and France. The fact is that India has been able to even make China back off. Would you like to today, Tehseen Poonawalla, congratulate the Prime Minister for this diplomatic and political victory?
I would like to begin with offering my condolences to the Veer armed forces who lost their lives in my home state of Maharashtra on Maharashtra Day. This is the third massive intelligence failure after Pulwama and Pathankot of the Narendra Modi ji government. And ma'am, the congratulations to Narendra Modi ji should be in order, but if Narendra Modi ji or Gaurav Bhatia answer one question, why is Pulwama not listed in the UNSC listing for making Masood Azhar a global terrorist? Pulwama is not listed. So all of this for Masood Azhar. As Hydari rightly said, Masood Azhar arrested by Congress, left by BJP, Pulwama is not listed. Second thing, if we have to congratulate Prime Minister Modi, then Prime Minister Modi must take the blame for Pulwama. He is responsible for Pulwama and intelligence failure. He is responsible for Pathankot, and he is responsible for what happened today.
Please show all the viewers
when he promised us after
where is that
no more such
document?
death.
Whatever
now,
you are
at the
alleging,
end of the
Mr.
day,
Tehseen
if
Poonawalla,
Prime Minister Modi deserves credit,
please,
which he does, he's
please
my
show
Prime
it to
Minister,
the viewers,
he's responsible
and we will
for his
respond after
intelligence
that.
failure. Those in Sri Lanka offered to
Come on,
resign. The
Tehseen.
NSA
Very
here,
unfair.
the MHA here.
You
is
know,
busy
you want to
investigating
whine, you
fake
want to
stories against
cry, you
Rahul
want
Gandhi,
to mourn.
rather than
Because
sitting
today
and
India is
investigating
celebrating,
this
just like
issue
Rahul
of
Gandhi,
continuous
who's
intelligence
not even
failures.
tweeted
Who is
today, he doesn't
responsible
have
for
the
Pulwama?
courage
And if
to
Pulwama
tweet
is
and
a blot on
congratulate
Indian security,
the fellow
why is it
Indians
not listed
and
today in
a
UNSC?
Prime Minister
That
who
is
has
the
shown
question we,
what
the
it
citizens
takes
of
to
India, ask
ensure
Narendra Modi
that
ji.
Pakistan is taught a lesson.
Tehseen Poonawala,
Ji, ma'am.
while everyone in this country actually salutes those brave martyrs
So
of
do I.
Gadchiroli, the 15 soldiers who we lost today, everybody salutes them. But on a day like this, itna chota dil, you
Chota
can't
dil?
even congratulate
You've
the
not
Prime
put
Minister.
Pulwama in the
you
UNSC.
You want to put
You've
in
not put
conditions,
Pulwama in
and
the
Maruf
UNSC
Raza and
resolution.
Smita
Chota
Prakash.
dil mera nahi, it's a
Maruf Raza,
compromise
to
for
you
Indian
first.
security.
Maruf Raza, can you explain the significance of India's achievement today to Mr. Tehseen Poonawala, Mr. Majid Hydari, and all the other detractors today, including Mr. Omar Abdullah, former Chief Minister of Jammu and Kashmir, on what it means for India to get and score this victory today?
Can he also explain that it's not the first time Hafiz Saeed happened in 2009 under Manmohan Singh? Can he also explain that? I would like that explanation also. Thank you.
Okay, I'll respond, Mr. Poonawala, but
Thank you,
Navika, I'll first respond to your question. The dissenters can continue to dissent, but let us not miss out the writing on the wall. Between 2009 and today, the world is quite a changed place, particularly in the context of India's relations with the international community. And let me tell you why. The thing is that for long, we used to go to the international community with reams and reams of evidence about terror being sponsored, particularly by Pakistan, into Indian territory and the lives of Indian citizens lost. 26/11 being a case in point, largely so, and even before that and subsequently. But what has happened now is that the efficacy of our diplomacy and our diplomatic initiatives, which clearly works based on the kind of pressure that the political leadership is willing to exercise on your own bureaucrats and diplomats to achieve results, the world has begun to turn around and look at our case much more significantly, particularly in the aftermath of the Balakot strikes. And the doubters can continue to doubt that.
Why
but
was
the
Pulwama
result
not
of that
listed?
is that the
Can
world
you answer
now
that
knows
question?
That we are
If
willing.
this is about Pulwama and
Sir,
Balakot, it was
sir,
not listed
please.
in the UNSC resolution. That is an insult to
It
India.
is not.
And Hafiz
It is
Saeed
not
in
about
2009
Pulwama.
was designated
Mr.
a global
Poonawala,
terrorist by Manmohan
Mr.
Singh.
Poonawala, don't interrupt me.
I am not. You must give all the facts out,
Mr.
sir.
Poonawala, you may have a political. Mr. Poonawala,
Yes, Mr. Poonawala. Yes,
you may
Mr.
have a political
Poonawala,
brief.
considering
You
that
may have
you
a
are not
political
some
brief, but let me
great
explain to you.
diplomatic eagle,
Navika, let me
can you
explain.
just
Now
calm
he's got me
down?
going.
Can you just calm down
Navika,
and listen to
Navika,
Maruf
he's got
Raza?
me going. Let me explain.
Because people in this country want to listen to Maruf Raza and
Navika.
not some detractions that come from you. Listen to Maruf Raza.
Yeah, Navika, thank you. Now let me explain. Jaish-e-Mohammed and Masood Azhar has more of a track record than just Pulwama attacks, though they owned up to it. They were also responsible for the attack on the Indian Parliament. They were responsible for the attack on the Indian mission in Afghanistan. They were responsible for the attack on Pathankot Air Base. They were responsible for several attacks to the extent that they became such a notorious group that the Pakistani military establishment decided to wean itself away from it and build up the Lashkar-e-Toiba as a counter. And when the Lashkar-e-Toiba got too hot for them to handle, they got the Jaish-e-Mohammed back into the whole narrative. So
Atal
please
Bihari
understand there is a
Vajpayee.
larger
Let's
game
also
happening.
put that out.
The world
Congress
is willing.
arrested him.
Mr.
Vajpayee ji
Poonawala,
released him.
Mr.
This
Poonawala,
man
let's
out of
not,
control was
let's
released
not
by
do
Vajpayee
petty
and
nitpicking.
BJP. Let's
Let
put
us
that
not do
out to the
petty
viewers of
nitpicking.
Times now. Let's put that
Let
out.
us, Mr. Poonawala, you might have a political brief. I
have
don't.
no, my only
I'm
brief
just
is
trying
India.
to put it in context. The world is willing to listen to us because we are willing to fight our
if
own
your
battles.
Was he
brief
not
was
listening to us in
India
2009
versus
over
Tehseen
Hafiz
Poonawala,
Saeed?
then
Put it in
today,
context.
But we are
instead
now
of
willing to fight, and
nitpicking,
that's why the
you
world
would
is
have
listening
been
to us.
congratulating and celebrating
did.
with the citizens of India.
I did.
Mr. Poonawala, you have just exposed how narrow your vision is and how completely vested interests are ruling some people who belong to certain political class. You know, Tehseen Poonawala, you've
Navika,
demonstrated that
Navika,
today. And I want
may
to
I
get in
complete,
Smita
please?
Prakash.
May I
Smita
complete?
Prakash, You have been following.
Navika, may I complete? Just give me a minute more.
Yes,
Just
Maruf,
give
I'm
me a
coming
minute
back
more,
to you.
please.
I'm coming back to you,
What I'm wanting
Maruf.
to say is,
Yeah, Maruf, I'm coming back to you, but I
Okay.
also want to get in Smita Prakash, because Smita Prakash has been on the External Affairs Ministry beat, and she knows this place like nothing else. Smita Prakash, do you find it completely astounding that people like Tehseen Poonawalla and Majid Hydari, even on a day like this today, find it so difficult to celebrate India's victory? They're only worried about timelines. They're wanting pat on the back for Manmohan Singh for 2009. Have they forgotten the number of dossiers that India sent to Pakistan on the 2611 case and what happened to them? Have they forgotten that? And they are talking about Pulwama being mentioned today. Have they forgotten all other attacks of the Jaish-e-Mohammed over the last several years? Only Pulwama is something that they want to do their politics on, Smita?
Navika, just half hour ago, Dr. Manmohan Singh himself has said that he's happy that this has happened. So anybody quoting Dr. Manmohan Singh, do a rethink. Secondly, even minutes after Pakistan put out its official statement, you have, I mean, for heaven's sake, even Pakistan is not congratulating Pakistan, whereas you have panelists in India who are congratulating Pakistan. Two, it was Pakistan in its official statement reaction, which has come out just about half hour ago, which says that Pulwama and Kashmir is not mentioned. And sure enough, minutes after that, you have panelists who are parroting the Pakistan point of view, which is that Kashmir and Pulwama were two technicalities on which it was happening. Do not interrupt. Do not heckle me. Do not heckle me. I can yell louder than you. Just because you are heckling Maruf doesn't mean you can heckle me. Just remember
Madam, I am not
that you are
interrupting. I am just asking
Pakistan's
you,
line,
is there
and
a
if that is
fixed
the
match
line that you
between
want to
BJP
take
and
as an
Chowkidar
Indian,
Imran Khan,
this is
who
really
is speaking
pathetic,
BJP's
because
language?
Pakistan is saying
Azhar Masood
exactly
is also
that,
supposed
that
to
it
be a
is because of
Chowkidar,
this
an old
reason
guard of
that they
BJP.
were stopping it. And even China is not congratulating Pakistan, whereas you sitting on an Indian television network is congratulating Pakistan. It is a shame that you can do this today. Today, when Indian soldiers have died,
Madam,
you are
I see a
expressing
fixed
sympathy
match.
towards the
I
Indian
see a
soldiers, but
fixed
at the
match
same
between
time
BJP and
expressing
Chowkidar Imran
sympathy
Khan.
towards Pakistan.
I cannot forget that
Ridiculous
Azhar
that you
Masood is
would do
also
this.
one of the previous
Ridiculous.
Chowkidars.
And when Dr.
The
Manmohan
previous
Singh has
Chowkidars had
said
taken
that what was
Chowkidar
done was
Azhar
right,
Masood to Kandahar. How can we forget that? How can we forget Chowkidar Azhar Masood is active all the times BJP is into power? I mean, you can't befool a nation. You need to make answers to these. Is there a fixed match with Chowkidar Imran
Mr.
Khan?
Majid Hydari,
Now come
I
and tell
think
the
you
nation
suffer
that
from
you do have a
amnesia.
fixed match.
Mr.
You
Majid
have a fixed match
Hydari,
with
Mr.
Azhar
Majid
Masood.
Hydari,
He is an old
Mr.
plant of
Majid
RSS.
Hydari, do you know under what circumstances Masood Azhar was released by the NDA, by the BJP government at that time? Do you even know that 183 Indians had been held
Circumstances
hostage?
don't matter. Don't
You wanted all those
developments matter. Why was he
183 Indians
released?
to have been killed.
What were
You
the-
know, have you
what were the Ben
forgotten your
Chowkidars doing?
context, Mr.
And why
Majid
is he
Hydari,
all the
your
time
hatred
active
for
only
Prime
during
Minister
BJP
Modi?
regimes?
Have you
What is the
forgotten the
link between
context in
BJP,
which you
Azhar Masood
speak?
and RSS?
You've
What
forgotten
is
the
BJP's
history
link
of
with
India.
Imran Khan? Why is
आपके
Imran
अंदर
Khan
इतनी
behaving like a
हेट्रेड
Chowkidar
भरी हुई
Imran
है
Khan?
कि आपको
What is
असलियत
cooking
नजर
up?
नहीं
What
आती.
is the undercurrent?
अंधे हो
What is
चुके
the
हैं
fixed
आप.
match?
Let me get
Let
in
you tell the
Dr.
nation.
John Dayal.
Let
And
you tell
Dr.
the
John
nation that there is a
Dayal, I
fixed
want to
match
ask
between
you
Imran
just
Khan
one
and
very
BJP.
simple question, and I want to read out a fact check. Look at the reply Prime Minister Modi has given his detractors. May I tell you what did Rahul Gandhi say to him? Rahul Gandhi said, a weak Modi is scared of Xi Jinping. China acts against India. Manish Tiwari says, China rebuff on Azhar is muscular diplomacy. And Asaduddin Owaisi said, Modi ka jhula diplomacy has failed. Dr. John Dayal, I want to ask you, all those who criticize Narendra Modi and wanted bills of his foreign travel, today will they go down on their knees and apologize because what Mr. Modi was doing was not sightseeing abroad. What he was doing was building up international and world relations. Will you admit that today when you see the result on the ground, Dr. John Dayal? At least will you be gracious enough today to congratulate him?
Mr. Modi and Mr. Rahul Gandhi are two politicians fighting an election to decide who will continue or be the next Prime Minister. So let us leave both out of the picture. But I would say that the government of India, its Prime Minister,
Oh,
its
so what
diplomats
happened?
and
What
others,
has happened
their
about
work
Masood
has
Azhar
resulted
today has happened
in
due to you, Mr. John Dayal? Are you responsible for India's victory, if not Mr.
John
Modi?
Dayal,
Because
you
want to
remember
leave him out
that
of the equation?
infamous tweet
Yeah,
of
in a
Rahul
way.
Gandhi,
In a-
where he called Narendra Modi ji a weak Prime
In a-
Minister,
in a way.
only when China had technically blocked, the... What would you say on that? When there was
You
a
know,
technical
I am
blockade
not in
and
love-
within 1.5 months,
I am not in love.
Narendra Modi ji has
No,
shown
I-
what
All
strong
right,
leadership can
allow
do.
Dr. John Dayal
Today,
to respond.
Pakistan
and Dr.
has been
John Dayal,
isolated
please
internationally.
respond why
I-
Modi should be left
No,
out
no,
of this
please
equation.
disturb me.
Just
I
why?
have no problem.
Is it
I am
today
used-
a reality
I am
because
used
of
to
you
idiots
or me
disturbing
or
me
Smita
in
or
real life.
Majid
So
Haidri,
on
or
TV
is
they
it
disturb
because
me. It is
the
okay.
pressure
But
that
listen
India
to me.
under the leadership
No,
of Narendra
you must
Modi
have
It's a
the
big
put?
patience.
diplomatic victory
You
for our
people
country.
must have the
And I
patience
think the
of
driving
listening
force
to the
behind this
truth.
big diplomatic
The truth
victory
is,
is Narendra Modi
governments
ji
like-
and his decisive
governments
leadership.
Yes,
like China,
Whether
Gaurav
they give
Bhatia, allow
credit
him
to
to
him or not.
respond.
and
Allow him
governments
to
like the
respond,
US
and I will
do
come back to you,
things
Gaurav Bhatia.
which
Allow
are
Dr. John
of
Dayal to
interest
respond.
to them when it suits them. If they can ignore Indian pressure for 4.5 years and they can accept it in the next 15 minutes. So, all your effort is paid off, but also consider, does it mean an end to terror? Does it mean you have a carte blanche to raid, to bomb, to send in missiles and jets into Pakistan? Do you think the US will allow you? Or do you think that the US will follow and China will follow and by themselves eliminate these terrorists? If it means an end to terrorism tonight, I will be the
Mavika.
first one to congratulate Mr. Modi, but I will not kiss his feet. That is sure.
Can I respond to him now?
मिस्टर RSN सिंह, आज के दिन ये मोदी को कहेंगे वो इक्वेशन से बाहर है, और आज के दिन वो कहेंगे कि मोदी को कार्ट ब्लांच नहीं मिला कि दे कैन गो एंड बॉम्ब पाकिस्तान, as if to say in the previous governments they were all given an open invitation to come and bomb Pakistan. Is this an absurd criticism of the Modi government which has put the money where their mouth is?
No, that is what we exactly did. We did go and bomb Pakistan in Balakot, and let me tell you, they say that military strength and diplomacy are two sides of the same coin. So there was Balakot, and it has been backed by brilliant diplomacy. I think the entire nation, it deserves to be euphoric on this issue. It is no mean achievement, and also the difference this time was that earlier we believed in power of argument, and now with this dose of Balakot we have done away with dose here, and now we believe in argument of power. See, there is a subtle difference: power of argument and argument of power. The other thing I must tell you this, that it is primarily because of Balakot that we have been successful, in the sense that we have sent a message to the world that with or without the international community, we will do whatever it takes to preserve the integrity of the nation. Now here is a inflection point as far as proxy war is concerned, and when you go on a proactive mode like this is not the end. There will be so many Balakots, and the Chinese will finally have to take a position this side or that side. Either they are with Masood Azhar or they are with India. So they had to take a position, and of course I must tell you, there is a gentleman sitting from Kashmir, Naeem Akhtar. He gave an interview to Indian Express, the former PWD minister of JNK under the PDP government. Read his interview. What he says, that why don't you understand China is the main player in Kashmir? And he says that the Jaish-e-Mohammed is adopted child of China, and therefore, may I tell you, ma'am, it's no mean an achievement. I don't know why, it is being given a political color. It's a very sad
well said,
reflection.
very well
You may do
said,
your politics
Mr. RSN
tomorrow,
Singh.
but
I
for
want
God's
to
sake,
play out the soundbite
Lord
of
your
Prime
leadership.
Minister Modi as he spoke in Jaipur, straight from the heart, just a few minutes ago. And he emphasized the point that this is not just Modi. This is about 130 crore Indians who have been taken seriously today. पहले उनकी आवाज नहीं निकलती थी, आज उनकी आवाज दुनिया सुन रहा है. Listen in to Prime Minister Modi before I go across to Maruf Raza.
मसूद अजहर को संयुक्त राष्ट्र द्वारा आतंकवादी घोषित करने पर आखिरकार विश्व में सहमति बनी, यह संतोष का विषय है. देर आए दुरुस्त आए. आतंकवाद के खिलाफ संघर्ष में और आतंकवाद को जड़ से उखाड़ने के लिए लंबे समय से भारत जो प्रयास कर रहा था, ये उसकी बहुत बड़ी सफलता है. और आज देश ने देखा है कि यूनाइटेड नेशन में क्या हुआ, कैसे 130 करोड़ जनता की आवाज पूरे विश्व में दहाड़ रही है. ये है नया भारत और ये है इस नए भारत की ललकार. आज भारत की बात पूरी दुनिया में सुनी जाती है. भारत की बात को नजरअंदाज नहीं किया जा सकता है.
Maruf Raza, you know, and that's exactly the point that I want you to tell our viewers. How significant is this victory? Because not only in one stroke does it trounce Pakistan, it also puts China in its place. And isn't that the biggest achievement so far in the last 5 years?
Well, Navika, I wouldn't go as far as saying it's the biggest achievement in the last 5 years, but it is a major achievement. And I would like to take further up from the points that Colonel RSN has made. I agree with everything he has said. In fact, I was trying to make those points earlier, but I was interrupted. But I want to also take it further and say 2 or 3 other things. The first and most important thing is to understand that the world is willing to stand up for you if you're willing to fight your own battles and decide to take more decisive steps, whichever way you take it. Now, whether some political parties will claim credit for it today or what they did yesterday, the point at issue is India has turned the corner diplomatically, and I think to that extent we should.
Because he has already openly been supporting
Yeah,
BJP.
again you are interrupting. Mr. Poonawala, can you give me... Mr. Poonawala, I don't interrupt when you speak. You may have fashioned a style of interrupting every speaker, but if you want to anchor this bloody program, then you join Times Now as an anchor. Otherwise, don't interrupt me. Because I dislike interruption.
Well, Mr. Majid Hydari, that was
yourself.
Maruf Raza, that was Mr. Majid Hydari. But go on, make your point.
I am not interrupting you. I am asking you to throw light.
But just, Navika, you either put down his volume or you ask him to anchor the show. Because I can't understand. Should I answer you or should I answer that, Mr. Hydari? Please understand.
You just answer me, sir. We put down the
situation
fader.
And don't nitpick, damn it. Okay, now let me explain. Firstly, the most important thing is that these major powers have decided to come out openly in our favor. In the past, they were waiting and watching to see to what extent India and Pakistan would resolve issues between themselves. China wanted the monkey of Pakistan off its back. China cannot take global isolation. When it makes all these long-standing statements, China wishes to be seen as a sensible member of the international community because it has business and diplomatic engagements at various levels with various countries. It doesn't like isolation. Even if it wants to prop up Pakistan as the other North Korea and a vassal state to counter India's rise and India's influence in Asia. And the third most important thing is while this achievement is symbolic, we have to build up on it. We cannot rest on our laurels. We have to get the international community now to take the next step to say that if Pakistani establishment has been backing Masood Azhar, who is now declared an international terror, therefore they have very clear terrorist linkages, and therefore their entire funding should be cut off.
So Mr. Sunit Chopra, you heard that from Maruf Raza. Maruf Raza is not a political being. He is a strategic affairs expert, and he's told you the importance of putting China in its place and
it's not putting China
and he
in
says
its
this is a
place.
big achievement.
You are confusing the issue. He has said it's an achievement. He has said it's an achievement, but it's symbolic. And it has been pointed out in the debate earlier that the same thing was done with, in fact, Dawood Ibrahim, and that didn't get you anywhere. So unless you take a symbolic achievement and make it a real achievement, there is a very serious problem before your eyes. And what is even more tragic is that today, when we are trying to celebrate this business, there have been Indian Jawans killed in Indian territory by Indian people. That, I think, is much worse than anything that can happen to any country. I am absolutely horrified that we have created a situation where anybody from a Gaurakchak to a Naxalite can kill anyone and it goes by the board. And you also have a person contesting in elections from Bhopal who is facing a trial for terrorism under UAPA. So what are we congratulating ourselves for? Let us be grateful that a small achievement has been made. Let us build on it. And
Smita Prakash is countering you. Smita Prakash is countering you.
We need more dialogue and consultation.
No.
And it said
I like the way the communists are silent about China. The fact is that China has now realized that following and pursuing Pakistan has been so detrimental, because as far as the BRI is concerned, they have hit roadblocks and they're completely frustrated with Pakistan. One, that. Two, they don't want to be seen on the wrong side of history. When history is written, they will be seen on the side of those supporting terrorism, and they want to rewrite that. Three, after what happened in Sri Lanka, they don't want to support the forces of terrorism, and they are right now very clear that Islamic terrorism is something that is hitting them too. They have concentration camps for Muslims in their country. What are you talking, Mr. Verma? You are very silent about the communists and
I don't know why, just because of their political opposition, some political leaders are trying to virtually divide India on this coin. Why should this be seen? Why should this be seen as a symbolic moment? Are you in denial, Mr. Sunit Chopra? And let me get in Captain Satya Prakash, our caller, our viewer who's calling in from Hyderabad. Captain Satya Prakash, do you think the opposition parties are in denial and they don't want to celebrate this moment of achievement for India only because they may just have to credit and apportion some credit to Prime Minister Modi? Captain Satya Prakash? I think we have a problem with that line, and that's the question I want to ask Dr. John Dayal. Dr. John Dayal, why are we in denial? Aren't we going to be magnanimous enough to celebrate an achievement when it has happened?
Of course I celebrate, as an Indian, any achievement that India has. But I am not going to go gaga of one man's show. Let me put it in perspective. I was going through the international list of terror organizations, and this Pakistan-based India targeting terrorism rates very low on the list. The main concern is IS, is Boko Haram, or other terrorist groups in Central Asia, and then very low down comes India. International communities act for their self-respect,
Navika,
for their
Navika, let me
interest,
respond,
for their
please.
security. When it coincides with your security, they support you also.
Oh, okay. So it's
Navika,
not great.
can I
It's not
respond?
something to go great gaga over. Well, I'm coming to you, Gaurav Bhatia, but I have viewers and citizens of India who are calling up. Our newsroom is flooded with phone lines. I want to go across to Mumbai, where our viewer Amar is joining this broadcast. Yes, sir. What would you like to say? Are opposition parties in denial?
Hello.
Yes, sir. Go on. I think we have a problem with our phone lines. Yes, Gaurav Bhatia, you were responding to Dr. John Dayal.
Yes, Navika, first of all, I think the entire country today is saying Modi hai to mumkin hai, and there are valid reasons for saying so. Because even when Balakot airstrike happened, it was only after 1971 that a Prime Minister could give a free hand to the Indian Air Force and ensure that Pakistan is taught a befitting lesson. And this also is not only a symbolic victory, this is otherwise also a very, very important victory for India, for the reason it shows how India has become even more powerful in the global community and how Pakistan has been isolated. And there are 2-3 examples. One is our braveheart Abhinandan coming back to India within 48 hours. That also showed how, diplomatic relations and how decisive leadership can make a difference. Let's not forget Kulbhushan Yadav and how his case is being pursued at the ICJ. Let's also not forget the opposition saying that Christian Michel will never come back and taunting. And then Christian Michel was extradited. And let us also not forget how Narendra Modi ji intervened and ensured that 4,000 Indians are rescued from Yemen. His one call to the Saudi Arabia king made all the difference, and that is why people of India are saying Modi hai to mumkin hai. The other
Venkatesh Reddy is calling in from Bengaluru. Let's go across and hear what India has to say. Yes, Mr. Venkatesh Reddy.
Yes, madam. That opposition is in denial because these people, they eat in our country and they talk about others. Particularly some of the frontal organizations are there. They are working against our country. Even some of the political parties are there. They are also working against us.
Do you think, Mr. Venkatesh Reddy, credit should go to Prime Minister Modi, or do you think, as Dr. John Dayal says, this is just a symbolic victory?
Mr. Dayal every time he is canvassing for abroad people alone. We should appreciate our Prime Minister, madam, whoever maybe it is.
Nothing.
Well, Tehseen Poonawalla, thank you, Mr. Reddy, for joining me. Tehseen Poonawalla, Majid Haidri.
Ma'am, I'd like to respond.
Dr. John Dayal, any takers for that advice?
I want to respond. If Prime Minister Modi deserves credit, rightly so, then he must also take the blame for intelligence failure. In Sri Lanka, people resigned. You cannot say Masood Azhar is a terrorist, which he is, fight terror and give Sadhvi Pragya a ticket. That is impossible. That is demeaning. Sadhvi Pragya is also a terror accused. You can't say one terror accused will fight an election and another person is attacking a country. There's an intelligence failure, there's a terrorist. Congratulations for putting him in the UN.
But what has happened? Gaurav Bhatia, respond to that.
The Prime Minister of the country. You know, Navika, it is time for Tehseen to respond.
Remember.
And I have a very basic question to ask, that when Rahul Gandhi was so quick to taunt when the bid was blocked by China, where is Mr. Rahul Gandhi today? Why is he not tweeted? Why can't he rejoice with the country? Why can't he congratulate the Prime Minister of the country? We all know he hates Narendra Modi, but this is about our country. And this is a big victory for us. Why is Rahul Gandhi not coming out and admitting that he was wrong when he taunted? And when he doubted the leadership of Narendra Modi.
Why does Prime Minister Modi not apologize for the failures in Pathankot, failures in Pulwama, failures today, his intelligence failure? Why doesn't he apologize to the country?
You know,
Today,
to these
15
people
people have
I
been
can only
martyred.
say
Prime Minister Modi celebrating in a rally.
these people-
What kind of
these
celebration?
people can,
When Pulwama happened,
you
he
know,
was
talk
shooting for a
about
video. What kind of
vomiting
celebration?
and
He needs to
deleting
apologize first.
sedition. These people
Why
can
is he not
say
apologizing
Afghan
for
will be
Sadi Pragya? He's
amended,
defending her.
but they
He's
cannot
put her as a
rejoice
candidate.
with the country.
He's campaigning
Well,
for her.
let me once again get in a voice from New India. Balaji joining me on the phone line from Bengaluru. Mr. Balaji, what do you think? Is
First of
this
all, I would like
a
to
victory,
congratulate
diplomatic and political for India, or do you think this is just symbolic?
No, this is absolutely not symbolic. First of all, I would like to congratulate the Prime Minister of India, Shri Narendra Modi ji, for forcing China, for cornering China. He's been doing this for the last 5 years. From the day one, we never had a foreign policy in the last 20 years. This is the first time we have had a solid foreign policy where we have managed to get things done, move things around the table, and what the opposition and some of the members who are sitting in your newsroom or via satellite, it's a disgrace that they are trying to politicize it, saying that, oh, we did this 10 years back, we did that 15 years back, nothing doing. This is 100% Narendra Modi. This is a huge diplomatic, political victory. The next 5 years, economy is very, very strong, but I assure you the next 5 years is about national security. Afghanistan is going to go to the dogs. We have problems in West Bengal, Kerala, Tamil Nadu. Terrorism is on the rise. Right-wing terrorism, communist terrorism and Islamic terrorism is on the rise. It is time that we stand up and congratulate our Prime Minister and be united. Thank you.
Very well, Mr. Balaji. Well, as an Indian citizen, you understand the problems and the challenges India face. And Colonel RSN Singh and Majid Haidari, I want to get both of you on just for a last round. RSN Singh ji, what is it that a normal citizen of India can see in terms of challenges to India's security, which our political parties in the opposition can't see? Is it just because they want to politicize everything that they politicize even such a huge moment for India?
Madam, look at the timings.
What happened in UN was what happened in UN was the jihadi facet of terror, and what happened today, with regard to the Maoists killing by Maoists is the Maoist facet of terror, and China is common to both. Now, Tehseen said, that he rightly raised this issue, but if I may tell Tehseen that look, you can go to UN, get sanctions against, say, Masood Azhar, but to tackle these Maoists, you have to crush the Tukde gang, which some political parties are supporting. We all know which lawyers, which politicians, which academicians, people like Chopra, they are all directly, indirectly linked to the this Tukde gang. And if these urban Maoists, he's a part of the urban Maoists, if you don't crush them, this Maoist facet of proxy war is not going to end. So I totally agree with you. I do offer my condolences to what they have done. They have tried to subvert democracy. What happened do you know in Malkangiri district what has happened?
That's right. Colonel RSN Singh, that's the voice of India. That's the voice of India that salutes this big achievement. And you can't take away from the fact that it was the political will that was driving this effort. Because efforts were made in the past. But did they get the world to sit back and take notice as they've done today? Is this new India? And why are our opposition parties in denial? Why can't they just congratulate and celebrate India's victory? Because this truly, Masood Azhar being cornered and declared a global terrorist is a victory for every single Indian, 130 crore of us, whose voice, as Prime Minister Modi said, has been heard today by the high table in the world. As we salute our martyrs who laid down their lives in Gadchiroli today, we also celebrate the victory of India. Well, the resolve against terror is something that we as Indians need to keep our eye on. Do you agree with that, viewers? Send me your tweets, Send me your comments as I and our channel will continue to follow this big story as challenges in global terror continue to face us. Thank you very much to all my panelists for joining me on the News Hour tonight. Good night from me, Padmaja Joshi. Up next, don't go.